Meeting is now being recorded. Thank you. So I'll now call the meeting of the Clark County Redistricting Committee to order. Roll call. Tina, you can see everyone who's here, right?
Yes, I can. Looks like everyone is here.
Yep. Any changes to the suggested agenda by anyone? Seeing none, do we have support for approving the agenda? Say aye if you approve it.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I don't see anyone opposing it. The minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Juan.
Second.
Thank you, Kamal. Any discussion of the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of the minutes, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. So we are at the point where we will ask for public comments. Tina, do we have anyone? Oh, before we do that, I hope you all did receive the 2 written comments that Tina provided earlier. One where the person's asking that the county, that we send no plan to the council. The person writes they want the entire matter before a Clark County Superior Court judge. And the other comment, which asks the question, why is only one map being presented to the public or shown on the redistricting link in 2022? And I would, there might be others who are wondering that as well. And I would offer up that all of the maps that the committee has considered are available on the website. You do have to go back to 2021 to see those maps, but we're only considering the map that the redistricting, now at this point, this committee is only considering the one map that the Redistricting Master has submitted. So that's response to that question. So with that, Tina, is there anyone who wants to make a public oral comment this evening?
I do see a couple of hands raised. Okay, this is a person who's called in, so please state your name and go ahead with your comment.
Hey, this is Margaret, and I had the question about why the 2 maps were sent to one, although there didn't seem to be agreement about the maps. And your answer is, well, it's just one now. My question is about the why. Can you explain how it got to be only the B?
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, can I help to answer that?
Please do, Chris.
This is Chris Cook. I am a senior deputy prosecuting attorney. And the answer is because the charter says in section 6.6, within 2 months after appointment, the redistricting master shall draw that is one, redistricting plan, that's singular, for the county and submit the plan to the committee for adoption. So the redistricting master has submitted a plan to the committee. Now, what the committee does with that plan, we will have to wait through this meeting to find out. But the charter has the redistricting committee receiving a submittal of one map.
Thank you, Chris. And there's another 2.5 minutes available for your public comment if you'd like.
Yes. Well, I wanted to note, also, I couldn't find an approval of the minutes in December, and you can read that. Just if it's missing, please post it. I did watch the December meeting, and I noticed that some of the criteria that was proposed is extra outside of the state law. And you had a nice document that showed what the law requires, and then the additional things, which it was stated that it was by the agreement of the group. But after watching the December 13th meeting, I'm not sure that there was that agreement. I just wondered if there is any kind of a vote that was taken that would show that there was agreement. about those extra criteria that were added that are not in state law. And I just wanted to say also, I very much support the input that was given by the two committee members, Mr. Gamoa and Mr. Richards, their due diligence in making sure that the up-to-date census data is being taken into account in this whole process. I very much appreciate their due diligence in that. And I did feel somewhat that, you know, of course, there's always debate, but perhaps a little lack of respect in light of the work that they've done and their membership on the committee is it as just as important as any other members. And they are also representing us, and I very much appreciate all of the work and all of the committee, and encourage you to, you know, even in your debate, to be certain to appreciate the contributions that each individual member makes. And sometimes there is a process in learning the system, how things are done. They're very much wanting, from what I saw, to understand the process. And so, you know, maybe a little extra patience is needed all the way around there. And anyway, however this process continues, I hope it's going to be out in the public, not done in a secret executive session, turning it into a legal matter. But this should be public. And I hope that the suggestion to disband the committee is not the answer, that you just keep working it through until you can come up with a map.
Okay, thank you for your comments. We're well past the 3 minutes now, but appreciate your input. Tina or Kristen, is there another public comment?
Yes, I have Jason A. Please go ahead with your comment.
Hi, thank you for having this meeting. Unlike the last caller, I don't appreciate Kamal and the other person on this committee trying to gerrymander the maps to keep a current counselor in office. You're not supposed to care where counselors sit when you're making district maps. It's against the law. I do appreciate the other members trying to keep to what the voters voted for and keep the maps looking as much as possible as those maps, but changing it just a little bit to get the population in the right spot. I hope that you can pass B2 map tonight, send it to the council where they can change it by at max, I think 2% with 4 people on the council voting in the affirmative. I think it's time to end this process. It's gone on long enough. You don't need to try to change the map anymore. B2 is the map that should go forward. And I don't appreciate the process being messed with by certain counselors on people getting people on to the commission. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Kristen or Tina, any other member of the public oral comments?
I don't see any other names, but again, if you're called in, you can press *3, or if you're logged in, you raise your hand in the bottom right corner. And I don't see anyone.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you. So we will move on to our agenda. And so committee discussion. I'd like to begin with some information that was brought to my attention, that there's a very, very small oversight in the creation of the map B2. And at this point, I'm going to ask the Redistricting Master, Paul Newman, to describe that that situation, which involves, believe 31 voters. So Paul, do you want to go ahead and talk about that?
Yes. Can I have permission to share my screen, please?
Yes, please. I think it's up there.
Yes, I can give it to you 1 second here.
Oh, maybe
Thank
not.
you. Okay.
31 people, not 31 voters.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Can people see the map?
Yep.
And can you see my mouse?
Yep.
It moves around. Excellent. Thank you. All right. Yes, as Greg mentioned, in a final review, we found the need to correct a small area, really it's just 2 acres between districts 3 and 4 to align the boundary of B2 with the precinct boundary. And so we're going to zoom into that. You can see I have it highlighted in the kind of the darker, this little blue spot down here between 3 and 4. So we're going to zoom in. Roads are coming on. And this dashed blue line that's a little darker is how the boundary had been drawn, and how the solid blue is how it should be. The tan color over here on the left is the city of Vancouver. White area is unincorporated Clark County. So as you might imagine, the boundary should follow, or really it comes down to an election precinct boundary. And the election precinct boundary certainly follows the city of Vancouver boundary. So again, very small. There's no changes in precincts. You'll recall that in earlier meetings, I passed out spreadsheets that listed precincts and the districts for each alternative, especially B2, that corresponded to each particular precinct. There is no change there. And as you noted on the 8.5 by 11 map, I have a before and after map from January here on the left, and a current map from today. There's really no difference until you really zoom in to a very small area. There is just the slightest population change, which I've adjusted over here. Really hardly worth doing, but I did just to so it's all the same, kind of on all the same page. So again, this area, I see roads here, 23rd is the area in question, 2 acres, shifting the boundary of this area about 300 feet to the west.
And was I right, Paul? Was that estimated affecting 31 people?
31 people.
31
Yes.
people.
Yeah. Estimating people the way we have for the election precincts countywide, it's 31 people.
Are there any questions from the committee members of what Paul just described there? So what?
Just more on the reasoning. I know, like, if we're trying to move stuff over to the east side, that was an issue, right? Because I wanted to keep Vancouver closer together. So I'm just a little confused on why this particular change if it only affected 31 people.
Well, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, well, the change is driven by precincts. The precinct boundaries. This dashed line did not follow an election precinct. And let me turn that on. And our intention is to have, find that real quick. Oops. Right, so, oops. Stand by. All right, so I'm gonna make that a little darker. Turn roads off. Kind of clean things up. Okay, so what we're seeing here are election precincts and their boundaries really.
Mhm.
And a goal of the group is to keep the district boundaries, council district boundaries, in line with the precinct boundaries.
Mhm.
And this small oversight really just overlapped on a 2-acre portion of precinct 649. So this is just this boundary between District 3 and 4 was intended to be here, follow the city boundary. The reason it's overlapping is that there's, you'll recall I used census blocks to gauge the population. And this original line was simply following let me turn that off. Simply following a census block boundary, just following this boundary here.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes all sense. I mean, I know there's like legislative districts and precincts and this and that. So, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah, good. Thank you for the question.
I
Yeah,
guess also, Paul, it ends up, as you said, it follows the city of Vancouver boundary, so it kind of also addresses the communities of interest question a little better, doesn't it?
A little bit, but it really,
I mean, 31 people,
so,
right?
this is so small, and really the intention, the intention from the start was to follow the precinct boundaries. I apologize for this oversight, but it's but I also believe that at this meeting we have a motion, or we have not a motion, but an opportunity to simply adopt this amendment, and without any further public hearing. And also just, I mean, as I said, I keep saying this is small, but I just also want to be transparent about making even minor adjustments to this map.
Right. So, Swan, did you have any more questions, Swan?
No, I'm good. I'm good
Okay.
with that.
Kamal, did I see you had a question? Kamal, did you have a question?
No, I had no question.
Shaking his head no.
Okay. Okay.
No.
All right.
May have been muted.
All right. Sorry. So as Paul sort of alluded to there, if people are supportive of correcting this oversight, a process that we can go through to accomplish that would be to have a motion to accept B2, the map that the master has submitted to us. And then while that motion is on the table, if there was a motion to amend B2 to bring this census block into, or to remove that census block from the council district, then we'd approve the amendment, and then there would be a vote on the amended Plan B2. So Janet, you had a question?
I don't think you said the process correctly. As Kristen did, I think the map that he has submitted is the map, and it takes 4 of our votes to change it. So I would think that 4 of us could agree on this tiny change on the precinct. If not, then we'd have to have another public hearing because it's the redistricting master's map. But to send it forward, I thought the only way you can change what the redistricting master proposes is for us to agree to change it by 4 people. And maybe Chris Cook can.
At this point, I will defer to our legal advisor, Chris Cook, and Chris, you want to go ahead and respond
Yeah,
to Janet's?
and I'm not Kristen, I'm Christine or Chris, but
Sorry.
that's okay. There is
I
another
apologize.
Kristen in the meeting here, and she does more than I do. So I believe that Greg said it correctly. The first thing to do, if you want to consider any map at all, you have one that has been submitted. And that was the one that was submitted on, was it the 6th, the 7th? The 7th, I believe, by the master. So the first thing to do would be for someone to move adoption of that map and to get a second on that. And then the way to correct it, as Mr. Newman has described and recommended for all the reasons he said, was to have a motion to amend and a second on that. And then you have before you a motion to adopt the amended map, which takes a vote of 4.
Chris, we have to vote on the amendment first, though. Is that right?
Well, it depends. If it is a friendly amendment, so if the amendment is accepted by the person who originally moves approval and the seconder of that motion, then it would be a friendly amendment. And I don't believe a vote need be taken separately.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. So I think, one, I want to, well, Janet, you want to have any further discussion of that? I mean, I don't want to cut you off.
Not, here's my concern or where we're coming in. I assume that we still have 2 members of this committee who put forth the A2 map and still want the A2 map or something similar. And so my question is, are we not adopting, do we need their votes in order to send it forward? My understanding is if we don't vote to change it, it goes forward as the B2 map that's currently there. But it doesn't require a vote. It only requires a vote to change it. It doesn't require a vote to approve it.
That is not consistent with our office's interpretation of the charter. Any action that the committee takes requires some vote. So that's the first thing. What kind of vote does it require? Well, according to the charter, it requires a 2/3 majority vote, and that is 4 votes. If you're talking about adopting or amending the map. So in order to send the B2 map, either as it exists currently or as amended forward, 4 votes are needed. If the committee does not do that, then the county council will not review the B2 map.
Okay, I'm looking at
Well,
6.
they can still review it, Chris. It just wouldn't be be outside of the formal process described in the charter. I mean, the council could still.
Well, they will start with a different map. They will start with the map that's in the voters pamphlet. So that's what I meant by review.
Can we go back through 6.6 and look at the second sentence or third
Yeah,
sentence?
and I think the issue is that you and we construe that sentence differently.
It says the redistricting, or the following sentence, the redistricting plan shall be adopted as submitted or is amended by the 2/3. And you're saying that the plan that the redistricting master puts forth does not go forward unless we say it, we vote as 4 people.
Yeah, that is what the our office is advising you.
And we haven't gotten any, we're really no different in any different place than we were before.
That is what the charter says, and perhaps those who wrote the charter did not consider the issues that would be raised by the structure that they created. But this is what's there.
Janet, I would say that we are slightly different than we were before we brought our actions, before we disbanded the committee back in December. We now have a single map that's been submitted by the master to the committee. That is the distinction, the difference. So I was going to, I guess, make it clear that if we do take the advice of our council, that in order to incorporate the correction to this oversight, as Paul just described and is recommending, a motion to accept B2 is made, that's seconded. Then a motion is made to accept the revision that Paul is recommending, and seconded. And then this is the piece I want to make really clear. None of those actions at that point is when the committee would then vote on accepting the then amended B2 map. So just by having a motion that's been an effective motion to accept B2 that's then amended is still going to give everyone an opportunity to vote on accepting or not accepting B2. Is that clear? I'm not seeing any heads move up and down or comments.
I'm exaggerating.
Is there further discussion of B2 or the recommended amendment to B2? Go ahead, Janet.
I think as a group, we should at least accept the amendment. So that it's, because we said we always wanted to go by the precincts.
Duly, I agree. I agree. Yeah. I mean, if this oversight had been recognized, 3 weeks ago, we would not be having this discussion. But this is what happens. This is when this. Well, I could go into. No need to go further. But other comments or questions about where we are? If not, I guess I would look for a motion to accept B2 from the plan that the master has submitted to us.
You know, filing your taxes doesn't have to be complicated, but Tax Act filing is simple.
Did anyone else hear that?
Yes.
I think we all heard that.
Ah, good. Is there a motion to adopt
That might have
B2?
been me, Greg.
What's that, Kamal?
That might have been me.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Yeah, let's not get into the discussion about taxes. That could go on forever.
Yeah.
I'll move to adopt the B2 plan as submitted by the Redistricting Master.
Thank you, Morgan. Is there a second to that? Thank you, Janet. Is there a motion to amend B2 with those, I think it's 2 census blocks that Paul just identified for us? I believe Janet just made that motion. Is that correct, Janet? Was that a friendly motion, Janet?
She put herself on
That's a
mute.
friendly
somehow.
motion on the 2 precincts, or the 2 blocks.
And Morgan, do you accept that amendment?
I do.
All right, very good, very good. So we now have before us the amended B2 with the motion to accept that map. Is there further discussion at this point?
And so we're voting on the amendment. Is that right? That's
No,
what we're debating. Because it was friendly, it's just adopted.
apparently. That Chris, that's correct, right? Chris Cook?
Pardon me, it took a minute to unmute there. Yes, and I am going to assume that the person who seconded the initial motion also agrees to second it as a friendly amendment, since she's the one who proposed the friendly amendment.
Yeah.
But if she wants to say that out loud, that would not be amiss.
I will say what you want me to say to do follow the parliamentary procedure the correct way. It's a friendly amendment.
Yeah, great.
I hear agreement in those comments, so thank you, Janet.
Great. Question from the redistricting master here. The oversight was described as 2 census blocks. It was actually just 2 acres and a fraction of a census block. Just
thank you
I
for the
stand
correction.
corrected.
I think that was my bad.
I think if it is described as the amendment that you have proposed in order to make the map consistent with the precinct lines, that would work really well.
Perfect.
Excellent.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. So at this point, one last call for any discussion or comments on the motion that's on the floor. Seeing none, those who support the motions to accept Plan B2 as submitted by the master with the amendment, say aye and raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So 3. Those who are opposed to that, raise your hand or say nay.
Hey,
Nay. Kamal, are you voting or are you abstaining?
Hey.
Nay. Okay. So the motion fails with a vote of 3-2. With that, is there any other business that committee members would like to bring forth to the committee before we take any further action? So with that, unless Chris Cook tells me otherwise, I believe we're going to vote to disband this committee.
I am not going to tell you otherwise.
Very good. Very good. All those in favor of disbanding the committee, say aye or raise your hand. Aye.
aye.
All right. All right. Well, let me again say how much I appreciate everyone's involvement in this process. It's not been terribly smooth, and everyone's been of good cheer and good faith through the process. So thank you very much to each of you for that. So been good to get to know each of you a little bit, and hope to see you around. So
Thank you, Greg.
yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Well, with that, we're off to the rest of our evening. So thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Goodbye.
evening.
Aye.
Good night. Thank you.
Bye.